Hello and welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles. On tonight's podcast, I'm joined by regular Gunner guests, Eamon Donnelly, Carl Ozzy Osborne, and young Gunner, not so Mr. Meltdown anymore, Ian Gunry, to review Saturday's 0-0 draw at home against Sean Dyche's Everton side. And remember to check out our podcast on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and exclusively on Spotify, as Carl Ozzy Osborne keeps telling me. So sit back and enjoy the podcast. As I said on the podcast tonight, first of all, Ian Gunry, how are you, pal?
All good, all good. Good to be back. It's been a while. As you say, not so meltdown now. Eamon taught me a few tricks over the last while. So
he's a settled man now. He's a settled man. Congrats again, Ian. Great to hear. And your life begins now. Also joined by Eamon, where's the duck chicken Donnelly?
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, lads. I was watching a documentary there on how ships were put together. It was riveting. Speaking of ships, as a kid, I was made walk the plank. We couldn't afford a dog. Anyway, we're grand. I have a bit of a frog in me trap, but we're all good, you know.
We're like two ships passing in the night on this show. Also joined by Carl Ozzy Osborne from the UK, pal. Your second show in a row now. How are you keeping, pal?
I know. A bit of a run, on a bit of a streak, but yeah, I can't top Eamon's opening, can I? The jokes, I've got to get better at them. No, all good, mate. All good, despite Saturday. Yeah, all good.
Should be a riveting show.
Ozzy, Stelic or Seaman?
Seaman or Stelic?
I left the viewers aside when we stick it up later.
No comment from me.
We definitely won't be able.
Should we start again?
I'm glad Martin doesn't send out this show till after the watershed.
That could be in a few days' time at this rate lately.
Just hope he's updated the beep sounds.
I don't know any other platform but YouTube, lads, so let's keep it safe. As always, like, comment and subscribe. We're flying now 118 episodes now after tonight's show, so thanks to everyone as always for watching and listening to us, and of course to the pundits. We kick on Saturday's game. 0-0, of course. Quite disappointing that we didn't get the 3 points. It was the first game since the passing of Kevin Campbell, who passed away in June. And it was really nice to see both fans, the flag, of course, in the stadium before the game. It's still hard to believe he's gone, but a legend of both sides. And it's just the way it is, really, isn't it? It's losing a legend, but it was our 222nd meeting between both sides. We've won half of them since 1905. It was our first 3 p.m. meeting since 2011. I think we'll all remember Robin Percy scored that volley that Alexander put him in. It was also a game that Mikel Arteta played in as well, so that shows how long we played at 3 o'clock against Everton. And a shout out to Richie White. Cracking preview show, mate, and I say you're rubbing your hands saying
Jonathan, just very quickly, the game you're talking about there, I brought Richie White to the Emirates that day.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
There you go. That was in our centenary year, I think, as well. We had that crest, hadn't we? Yeah. So Richie White, there's a comeback for you. There's a Go ahead.
Papa G, as they call him, wants to say a Christmas joke. I can only apologise there because he's hounding me.
Go on, Papa G, stick it in there.
You know the Grinch. Eamon the Grinch. How does he win the football match?
Sorry, Bono, can you just leave the premises, please?
How does Eamon the Grinch win the football match? The ghost of Christmas past.
Oh, God. Go on.
Right, we're losing viewers here now.
Viewers here, Papa G. We'll get you back in when we're saying goodbye at the end of the show. To start off with the action in the first half, Everton probably had the first decent chance after 6 minutes. Corey had that chance but a sliding tackle from Gabriel stopped that, and what a challenge it was. Jordan Pickford, I thought, by far Everton's best player on Saturday, made crucial saves in both halves, really. Odegaard had a chance that he dragged wide after 12 minutes. On the half-hour mark, he had another chance, sidestepping Tarkowski and Brantwaite, and Pickford saved with his legs that looped over the bar. Quite unlucky not to score a couple there on Saturday, in fairness to Odegaard. Tarkowski's header back at the half-hour mark was nearly pounced upon by Kai Havertz, but Jordan Pickford punched away on that occasion. 2 minutes before the end of the first half, Martinelli had a shot well saved by Jordan Pickford's legs. He seemed to be in the right place at the right time. Pickford all game, really, didn't he? In the first minute of the second half, he got down really well on his left-hand side from Saka's first time shot there from Marino's header. It came down to him and he hit it first time, but was well saved, in fairness to Jordan Pickford. Not really much really happened in the second half, really. In the 60-minute mark, Rice and Odegaard came off, and Murray and Jorginho came on. And I come to the guess, was that the right call? Saka had a shot blocked again on the hour mark by Pickford, and then right at the end of the game, really, the only talk about was partly taken down by Mikalenko. Was it a penalty? I think he probably just about got the ball, Mikalenko, but and another game might have been given. Of course, fans leaving early before the final whistle, and they're even booing at the end of the game. So, how fickle are Arsenal fans now, Craig Smith? I thought, in terms of Everton and Ducorey, Tarkowski, Young, and Brantwaite, they doubled up on the likes of Saka and Martinelli and the wings all game. And Lindstrom, when he came on, they snuffed us out. We've only scored 18 goals from open play all season, and we need to really rectify that quite quickly for not to let the league get out of hand. But with Liverpool dropping points again, it wasn't really as a bad result as it could have been. But I'll come to yourself, Ozzy. What did you make of the performance on Saturday at the Emirates?
Right, so firstly, you don't want to talk about that much happening in the game. That's really nothing much happened. I think Sky Sports managed to find 2-minute highlight section, which is quite awesome to add that out as well. But look, it's a disappointing day at the office, wasn't it? It was a disappointing day. I think that for me, the lack of sort of clear-cut chances. I know Odegaard had a chance and Saka had a chance, but it just seemed very slow. Like, I don't know, like from what you guys think watching it on TV, it just feels very slow, lots of sideways passing. But at the same time, you know, Everton played their part in that as well. But it just seemed it was like all of us had an off day on the same day. Like we normally sit here, don't we, having podcasts talking about who's gonna be the man of the match, and then we're spoiled for choice. But this one, it's actually hard to find a single person that stood out. I think every single player there really, there was no standout player, was there? And it was just really slow. And let's not forget, right? Everton had 2 weeks without a game. And I think that's evident. I think we were completely different to where we were against Everton, against the Monaco game. Whether we're leggy, I don't know. That might have some part in it, and they look fresh. But Everton set out. It was Sean Dyche ball, wasn't it? It was Sean Dyche ball. Everton knew exactly what they were doing. They displayed lack of ambition. I think the stats speak for themselves. They didn't have a single shot on target. I think there was times in that second half where they counter-attacked us, and they had men on us. Like they, at one point in that second half, I was concerned when there was counter-attacking, but rather than try and get the ball into the box or try and play it forward, they basically took it to the corners in the 70-yard minute. So look, but we know Sean Dyche. But we know, I've seen him do this with Burnley. I've seen him do this against us now with Everton, and we know, and we need to find an answer to break that down. I'm not going to attack players. I'm not going to attack the manager. I'm not going to, because Everton came out for a draw, absolutely, and credit to them. They walked away from the Emirates with a point, whether we like it or not. The ambition. I think Jordan Pickford had a really good day in goal. Yeah. And it's a combination of it. I'm not going to. But the team just looked leggy. For me, it looked like Rice and Odegaard were well off it. I thought even when we brought Wanyeri on, I thought that was going to be our creative spark we needed. I was actually calling for Jorginho at half time to try and get that ball, that transition from defence to attack quicker. But it just seemed off really. That's sort of the only threat we had. It was kind of like we was giving the ball to Saka and Martinelli at times, and Trossard actually when he came on, but I was just putting cross after cross into the box, and their two centre halves, Braithwaite and Toffees, they were just lapping it up. They were just literally all day meat and drink for them, and it just seemed like our way of attacking. Give the ball to Saka. Yes, they were doubling up on him, but he still got space. But when he did get space, he was just putting it across into the box. We just had no one to really challenge those defenders with it. Really, Trossard came on. I think he opened it up a bit. Could probably have done with him a bit sooner, but I'm not going to single out players, but I've got to speak about Martinelli. I can't help but talk about. He was poor. He was very poor. I thought watching him live on video, and I don't want to get on him because I'm a big fan of his. I think we should get behind him. Absolutely. But I think he was very poor. I think, but ultimately. I don't know if you saw on the TV, Mikel Arteta gesturing to the crowd, and I've heard some things. People are saying the crowd weren't behind the team. That's absolutely nonsense. The crowd really upped the ante in that second half, and we really did get behind the team. He kept on doing it. He had a few people moan and say, "Well, give us something to cheer about," but it wasn't as reported on some social media about the fans not getting behind the club, because that didn't happen. The noise was getting increased, I thought, as it went on. Yes, there was frustration, but I just think sometimes when you're in this position against Icebourne, and I'll end on this sort of really, but that when a team plays against you like that, it is frustrating, and they set out to frustrate us, and I think sometimes you try that bit too hard. And you try that extra trying to break down a defence like that. You try harder than you try those silly through balls. You try and do something special to try and break that game, and they're just lapping it up. And I think we was off our normal flow. We didn't create the chaos. I think, as they say, that's what we've done before. We've walked the floor with teams, and we talked about an Everton side. Went to Old Trafford a couple of weeks ago, and got spanked 4-0, right, and that's a bad United side. So to come and do that to us, I thought, things went in their favour. I don't think we was on it as well. I think I'm not just going to give credit to Everton because I don't think they deserve all that credit to come to a match like that. But normally in that situation, I'd give them credit, but it was diabolical to watch. But look, we've got to be better, and we've got to break teams down like that, and and that's the subs didn't really impact the game. We was all expecting it. Yeah. We all wanted it to, and it's not really much for me to say more than what I just have, So, it was a tough day, tough watch, and hopefully we don't have to see many of them this season at the Emirates.
Do you think, briefly, Ozzy, do you think the penalty incident at the end? Do you think Purdy was kind of looking for it? Do you think that was 50-50 from where you were watching it?
I'll be honest, from where we're watching it, like normally it's the opposite, isn't it? You see it on TV and that is different. But when we was there, like most people, and myself included, didn't think it was a penalty. We thought he went down, so it was almost desperation. I'm just going to throw myself to the ground. He just went down to it. Whether the replay showed different, to be honest, I did see the replay earlier, but I think he gets a touch on the ball, doesn't he? I think does he just get a slight touch on it? I don't. Yeah. Sure. So, but ultimately, in the ground, you can't be relying on that. We should have had that game to bed.
Desperation stuff.
And I think, look, I think we just need a. What do we need? I don't know. I'll let the lads. Let's see what I think they need, but we needed a different plan, and we didn't have it that day. We just tried to do what we normally do.
A really disappointing day, Eamon, and the meltdown that happened in our thread was just absolutely ridiculous after the match. But what was your take on the 90 minutes, Eamon, of the match?
Well, first of all, in relation to the meltdown, I ignored every bit of it because
you done wisely.
Yeah, it's just. It really would consume you in a really negative way, and I don't like it. Right. Second thing I'd say is, Everton went up to United and lost 4-0. Why was that, Ozzy? I'll tell you why. Because they fancied winning that game. They didn't go up with a low block. They went up to play and got played through, right? So, first of all, it was a terrible performance. So there's no, I'm not gonna kind of put sugarcoating on this. It was a terrible performance, but I'm gonna put some context because you can't analyze things without context. And I had the strangest advantage. It was the first Arsenal game I haven't seen for I don't know how long, because the band I was playing in Dundalk. So I was travelling to Dundalk while the game was on, and I found myself walking down the main street in Dundalk with Arsenal.com on comment, you know, and even at that, the frustration was coming out, you know. But what I say to you is this: that was our third game in 7 days, and I was at the Monaco game, and we gave a lot that night. That was their first game in 11 days. And I don't care how superior or inferior an opposition is. 3 games in 7 days versus 1 game in 11 days, purely from a physiological point of view, makes a massive difference. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, they might have gone up to Man United and lost 4-0, but they'd kept 6 clean sheets in the last 8 games. So they came and played their game, and it was up to us to break them down. And when you say, Ozzy, and you know, I've the height of respect for your tactical acumen, we were going from side to side. Well, what's your alternative? Boot it up the middle? So you're facing 2 masses. Kick it into channels that aren't there. The reason why you go side to side is that eventually it's like an elastic band. You stretch and you stretch and you stretch. And then at some point, there's a gap that you can play through. But you have to have the energy to do that. And because we lacked energy, we never really stretched them enough because it wasn't. You're absolutely right. We weren't quick enough doing what we were doing.
I'll give a bit of context. Sorry, Eamon. I know you're doing your bit. Yeah. To give a bit of context there, but what I mean by that is there was lack of movement. There was lack of movement, and whether it be a throw-in, whether it be, I don't know if that appeared, but there was lots of times where Timbers got the ball like this, and he's going, just someone move for me, and it felt like there was a lack of movement. That's what I meant by side to side, because it was basically then let's just play it back, and because they could play it back.
Sometimes there's a lack of movement because there's nowhere to move to, and Everton were brilliant at that. But normally, as a game wears on, the concentration levels get harder and harder. The elastic band gets looser and looser. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but and I'll tell you what would change all that. If a goal goes in.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we should have scored. Martin Odegaard cannot buy a goal at the moment. He can't buy a goal. And there's something in my brain telling me he hasn't fully recovered. I'm telling you, because if you look at it, the substitutions, he had to take Declan off. Declan was feeling a bit of a niggle. He had to take him off. But if Martin Odegaard was fully recovered, don't tell me we needed Thomas Partey and Jorginho in the middle of the pitch against that lot and the way they were playing. We needed Ethan Monieri and Martin Odegaard on the pitch. So if Martin Odegaard was fully recovered, why did he come off? I think Martin Odegaard is still struggling a bit. He's got a few bangs on that ankle since he came back. I don't think he's fully right, and I don't think he's gonna overplay him for that reason, right? But Odegaard himself, he can't buy a goal. He missed an open goal against Monaco that was right in front of me, and I think he should have got 2 on Saturday. The one that he shanked over the crossbar, that got to hit the target. And normally, when Martin connects with that, it's in the back of the net. And then the one that he took the sidestep that Pickford saved, he could have passed that into the goal, right? And do you think, is this a criticism of Martin Odegaard from me? Absolutely not. The guy has missed 12 weeks of football, or 8 weeks, or 9 weeks, or 10 weeks, or whatever it is. And I think there's more to that injury and the recovery than we're saying. And I don't think we want to say it in case teams sniff it out and go after him, right? just a couple of things before Ian comes in. So what I'm really saying is that if we get a goal, or if the one that's Saka slashes early in the second half goes in, that whole game changes. We get the job done, and we're not having this conversation. And there's no meltdown on the thread, because all of the fickle people decide, oh, we won, therefore everything's okay. Right? Football is a bit more complex than that, right? So just I want to talk about set pieces for a second. You see, teams have worked us out on set pieces now. So set piece coach, his job now is to evolve something different. There's been so much analysis on us and our set pieces done that teams have studied that. So we've got to come up with something different. As I said, Declan had a niggle. I agree with you, Ozzy, as I do when 99% of your analysis is always very sharp. Martinelli to me is on his way out of this club if he doesn't change, right? And he needs to be bolder. Every time he gets the ball, he's sidestepping in on his right foot and then either just squaring it back or then okay, that didn't work the last time. I'll try hump across it, into a packed box. Martinelli has got to say, I don't care if the fans get on me back. Every once or twice out of every 3 times, I'm going down to the end line. Right? He's got to mix it up. Jurriën Timber didn't give half enough support to Odegaard and Saka. That's a lack of energy, because he's very energetic. He's always up giving support. He couldn't get up in support, because when I say I missed the game, I actually watched the whole game back with a cold, clinical eye, knowing the result. So I was looking out for these things. Timber gave little backup. And the last thing I'll say is when a team is as low as Everton were and the elastic band is as tight as it is, I think the way around to that is when you get winning 25 yards at a goal, just have a crack. Now, you're not going to score. But I'll tell you what that does. If you nearly score or you get one on target, the next time you're in that position, it draws the opposition out a little bit further. Because, we can't really let them have a crack. Your man has one of those Thomas Partey ones that went in against Forest, for example. Have one of them. Have a Declan Rice whack, right? What will happen is, even without realising it, the defenders will start saying, somebody needs to close that down. And what you're doing is, you're opening the channel a little bit.
Yeah.
And then in the overall context, sorry, and I'll let you in a second. In the overall context, we're short of an attacking player. I don't mean a centre forward. And before anybody starts saying, we need this, we need that, we need that, there are no available centre forwards on the market at the moment. Anybody who is available is crap, right? So don't go out and buy crap. But we do need another attacking player, because our left side is not functioning that well. And the one bit I disagree with Ozzy on is I thought Bukayo Saka tried manfully on his own to win the game for us, and he was a standout player to me. But look, there you go.
Just briefly, sorry, Ian, you're waiting a while. You will be brought in now. Just briefly, Eamon, do you think 18 goals from open play, do you think that's a worry, or do you think that can be rectified, as the season goes on?
I think if Martin Odegaard scored 1 goal, he'll score several. I think if Gabriel Jesus scored a goal, he'd score several. I think that will correct itself. Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of been played on a bit by the the media.
Jonathan, against Monaco, we were terrific in the first half. We could have had 7, and all from open play. And just in relation to the few little boo boys at the end, I was there on the Wednesday against Monaco, and the stadium was rocking. So as far as I'm concerned, they can vanish up their own holes.
That's Eamon's taking things. Well put. Ian, great to have you on. It's been quite a while since you've been on the podcast, man. It's great to have you back. What was your take on the 0-0 draw at the Emirates, Ian?
Kind of I suppose I'm not going to repeat the same as what the rest of you have kind of said. I suppose it was quite a boring game. You kind of always expect the game against Everton to be boring. I think it's naturally you know what you're going to get every time you play them, home or away. Is 10 men behind the ball and break us down. And if you can, great. And if you can't, you know what I mean? They're happy to take a point off us any day, like, and like God help you if you go 1-0 down. Like it's a battle, like. But no, like I think there's a lot of, I suppose, naivety about Arsenal at the moment, like where it's like it's frustrating, that we're not taking our chances, but to create chances, you have to be playing well and you have to be doing something right to actually get these chances that are there. And I think, like, look, it was a case of there's a few different things that came into it. Pickford had one of the greatest games he's had this season, I think, in goal. And I think, I mean, one of those saves don't happen and we'll go 1-0 up. I think it's a completely different game we're talking about. And I think the floodgates open and we don't even look back at this. But I think a lot of it comes down to, as Eamon kind of mentioned with Monaco as well, we're just not clinical enough when we get our chances, like especially with like I suppose the elastic band method that you mentioned there, Eamon, as well. And when you actually do, and we pulled them out at stages and we kind of broke in and we had our chances to capitalise and we just didn't take the chances. But the thing about it is, you have to, like, against a team like Everton, you might get 5-6 chances in the game like that you have to just take them, because as soon as they realise, okay, that's kind of, I mean, I think you kind of said it there, like that's an issue we need to kind of look in and lock down. So then they put 2 people on the likes of Saka or 2 people on Odegaard, just take them out of the game. But sure, if you're taking your creative players out of the game and then you've obviously played so many games in like the space of time, you don't have the energy then to think of something different. And I definitely agree as well. I think Odegaard is definitely playing with an injury. And I thought Rice, I thought Rice was a bit of a weird one to take off, but as it turned out, it seems like he had a bit of a niggle or a bit of an injury. So, like, I mean, like, that says it enough as well, that if players are picking up injuries, like, it's shown it's taking its toll, I suppose, in the amount of games that are being played. But I suppose what I would say in that comparison is that, look, I think Arsenal played quite well. It was a boring game, but I actually think they played quite well. It was just unfortunate that we couldn't be clinical. But look, I think it's very, very hard. Like, there's been a lot of games that Arsenal have been criticised and fans have criticised Arsenal, saying, "Oh, this is terrible and this is a really poor performance." Like, I mean, when we played Fulham, I think there was nearly meltdown number 2. Like after that game, and then you see what Fulham did against Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not a bad side. Like, there's like results that are being misinterpreted to be chaos and we should all panic, and it's not that case at all. I think, again, kind of similar to what the lads have said and yourself, John, is that, like, if the likes of, I suppose, Martinelli got a goal, Jesus got a goal, and that form started to kind of click. Look, it kind of reminds me a little bit of last season when Havertz and everyone was on Havertz's back, and then Havertz scored that penalty, and the turnaround that made for him, like. And, like, I mean, I suppose you look at us in the Champions League and the form is unbelievable. Like, your form doesn't just switch off overnight. Like, do you know what I mean? We're just not getting the breaks that we got last season, and that happens. You know what I mean? It does. It happens. Every team has it. Like, I mean, look at City. City aren't getting the breaks that they got either. Like, it will happen every team of the season. I mean, Liverpool had the title wrapped up, so we thought, do you know what I mean, 12 points ahead, and here we are. It's completely different. Like, football's a funny game. Do you know what I mean? We could be.
Do you think the draws against Fulham and obviously Everton at the weekend, do you think the pressure of us being called title contenders, do you think that's why there's so much spec put on us? No.
Like, I think, look, what it's come down to is just, as it does every Christmas, is so many games that have to be played. We don't have the squad to rotate anymore because we got rid of all the dead wood, which we needed to do. And I agree with Eamon. No point going out in January and buying more dead wood. Took us long enough to get rid of it. There's no point getting it back again. So, like, I think what it is now is just a case of rotating players to the best we can, making sure that we rest players that have injuries or have niggles. There's no point, do you know what I mean, in trying to be superhuman and it's all these injuries, because we're lucky we're in all competitions still. So, like, I mean, okay, we want to win the league and that's everyone's goal, but there's also other competitions that you need to kind of, I suppose, protect your players for as well. But what I would say, I suppose, in it is that I think we're being found out definitely a little, because we can't rely on set pieces all the time. But I think a lot of it as well comes down to that you take Saka out of the game, you take Odegaard out of the game. We don't really have a plan B yet at the moment. And
Can I just come on that, Ian? That's a very interesting point, because you say that we're being found out. You're probably right. Because, you see, other teams don't just turn up without doing any preparation. So they study in great detail how we make our movement, how we get into it. So it's constantly evolving. Rugby is the best example of this, Yeah. We've got to find something different. But when people say we got found out, it's almost like as it sounds, and I know you didn't mean it this way, as in, we were the one-trick pony. We played very complex, artistic football. When a team finds a way to combat that, well, then we've got to mix it up a bit. And that's what I'm saying. You don't become a bad team overnight. I can say to Ian, you're right. We were absolutely anybody who was in the stadium against Monaco on Wednesday night, the way we played the first half, we were absolutely terrific. You don't become bad overnight. But Everton were 11 days waiting for us.
Yeah.
We even made Ashley Young look good.
Everton were waiting for us for 11 days. Yeah. All of their training drills for the past week would have been how you combat the Arsenal. What were we doing? Well, we were probably having a limber down on Thursday to get over the knocks. One day's training on Friday. Now we've got Everton to worry about.
Yeah.
Right? Let's put it into context,
Context,
true.
Short turnaround. Actually, I've asked Ian, Karen and Eamon, they were at the game on Wednesday. Miles Lewis Skelly, he had a good performance on Wednesday, and also again, I think, on Saturday against Everton. What do you make of Miles Lewis Skelly? Do you think he's fitted in quite well, hasn't he? He doesn't look out of place.
No, he doesn't look out of place. And do you know what I think kind of shows as well, and kind of backs up Eamon's point, is he hasn't played a lot of games, and he has that pace and he has that fluidity about him that he kind of can give that, I suppose, bit of an adrenaline punch into the team, that just something different, something that people don't know. People look into it, go, right, we know what Saka's going to do, we know what Odegaard's going to do. They don't know what Lewis Kelly's going to do. No one kind of knows what he's going to do. He's so new on the scene. So it's kind of like, oh God, I didn't expect him to be this fast, or I didn't expect him to do this.
As well as that, Ian, and I don't want to keep interrupting, but something that struck me about him was that if Calafiori was fit, Miles Lewis Skelly could be an injection or something from a different position on the pitch.
Absolutely.
On that kind of left of centre. I don't want to call it a left egg, Carl. I
nearly mentioned that with Mourinho earlier because he was very high up.
Because he's got feet, but no, he has that about him. He won't only play left full back for us.
Yeah.
He's an all-round ability to play.
He's an eye for the pass as well. I mean, you said that.
Oh, yeah.
Against
listen, what summed up the day for me, folks, and I will shut up, he found a beautiful one through to Havertz.
Yeah.
And a Havertz heel. That summed up the day. On another day, Havertz has that run time to perfection, and that's in the back of the goal. You know?
Yeah.
Can I just add a point, lads, about I was looking at the unused substitutes actually. I was just while you was talking then, and so we saw Trossard come on for Martinelli, and I've got a point to make it. But Martinelli very much was doing exactly what Eamon said. Most of the time, he's cutting back on his right, either lumping across it or playing it across low in the box. Trossard came on and done exactly the same. Can I add for that as well? So we didn't really add much to that. I look at Raheem Sterling sitting on the bench, and he might have been a gamble, like you're saying, Eamon, something different. Yeah. Just be brave with it a bit. But I think Raheem Sterling, there's a lot for him coming on. I know he hasn't been lighting games up, but it might have just been a game where you put him against Ashley Young. It might have been a bit different because they couldn't have planned for that. Maybe if we'd just been a bit braver with a sub like that. you don't know. It might have paid because I was just checking to see what he was on the bench and why we didn't use him, because he would have offered something different. He'd have been against Ashley Young, so he's an aging nearly 40, isn't he? So he's an aging right back. So that might have actually been a good opportunity to have give him a game there. But so hindsight's a funny.
Carl, just on that point, you know what struck me? Like, when you're looking for something a bit different, right? Surely do something with Bukayo Saka. He's being doubled up on the right hand side. Throw him over on the left. Throw him up the middle. You know?
Yeah, trying somewhere different.
You know what, right? Perfect example of this. Perfect
Yeah.
example is City at home when he put Tomiyasu on and played him sort of right midfield.
Yeah.
And they were puppy boxes in, and he was winning those headers. He won that header back, which came back to Martinelli, who hit it into Aki's face, and it went in the back of the net, didn't it? But that was just a different move, because that game was very similar. City were playing the low block, and we just put on Havertz, Tomiyasu, and it's just a case of let's just ping balls.
Yeah.
And I know we haven't got Tomiyasu to ping on, but what I'm just saying, that bold move from Arteta won us that game against City that day.
Yeah,
and just something different. That's all I wanted to see, and it just didn't feel like.
That's what I'm saying. If you were Ashley Young, and after 70 minutes, I can show Martinelli this way. Okay, now Ashley, meet Bukayo Saka. Have a chat with him and see how you get on. Something different. And then you could have accommodated Sterling on the other side,
Yeah.
What did you make of Kai Havertz's performance on Saturday, Carl?
He was one of the better
players
for me. I just thought he done a lot of hold up play. He was one of the better players.
But could he have done a bit better with that chance he had when Pickford got ahead of him for the header? Do you think there was no chance of him getting on the end of that one?
Not from what I can remember seeing. No, I don't. I don't think there's any moment. I thought Havertz was one of the. He's doing lots of layoffs, hold up play, and actually he was one of the people contending for. If I was to pick a player of a match, he'd have probably been up there with Saka, I think, and Gabriel actually. Just because I thought he was quite. He was actually trying to push it. Gabriel, he was making lots of. He was trying to push that game on.
What was that tackle that he made after 6 minutes on Dublin?
That's a reason. That's a reason why Gabriel was on my list of potentials, because that very challenge he got back in, because it was a dangerous situation right early on. Yeah. And that'd have been an interesting. If that had gone in, might have sparked the game up. I don't know, but yeah, Gabriel. What from the point I was making is he was trying to make like Eamon said with Saka going through. Gabriel was trying to make something happen. He was trying to like Vieira-esque try and run through at times, and you could see him physically getting frustrated with the lack of what was going on in front of him. So yeah, but look, we're going over old ground again.
Yeah, it's I suppose. Eamon, do you think that's damage limitation stuff, or do you think it's still very early days, isn't it, to talk about titles or anything?
Well, I'll tell you what. I played football for long enough. And anybody who's in the business of jacking something in with 22 games and 66 points to play for and waves a white flag at this stage, they're throwing their toys out of pram, I'd say get off the bus and walk.
I went through the whole show of not mentioning hunger in it, so I'm glad I didn't bring that up.
66 points to play for.
Yeah, it's not over yet. It's not.
I think on that title race as well. But people have short minds, very, 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 very short minds. And I look at that when Arsenal were 10 points clear, or was it 8 points clear at Christmas?
Yeah.
It was like, it's done. Everyone jumped on this high horse, me included. I was like, yeah, that's it. Totally got to win the league. Nothing gonna go wrong. Life is wonderful. Sunshine's here. Do you know what I mean? And it all went to shit. And so reality. We've seen reality on the good into the very, very ugly. Right now, it kind of seems a little bit muddy. I wouldn't quite say ugly, but look, take a game by game.
Harry, can I just remind people that we've won 4 and drawn 2 over the last 6 games?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can I just remind people of that?
Yeah.
People look at back-to-back draws, and it's just a complete Implode,
there was a Champions League win in the middle of all that.
Yeah,
Against
against a very
the
good
Champions
side.
League group.
Yeah.
You know, we're still, as far as I'm concerned, in the mix for the title. We
Yeah.
have a game against Palace in the quarterfinal of a competition during the week, and the FA Cup hasn't started yet. Let's just take stock of all that.
Exactly.
It's a result that leaves us in tour position 6 points behind the leaders. Liverpool 4 off Chelsea. We're having some season as well. Man of the match. Start off with Carl for this game.
It's between Saka and Havertz, and Capri. How I'm going to go Saka because, like Eamon said, he tried to win it for us. I think that's the only one you can choose.
Man of the match, Eamon.
Gunnersaurus, because of his movement. I thought he was good on his feet. No,
he's great at half.
Eamon, he let an awful penalty in, mate. If you'd have seen,
no, I think
ever run down Gunnersaurus in this podcast.
But Bukayo Saka for me was, trying single-handedly to win the game. I know that's a bit of a misnomer. Other players are trying to do things as well, but he was the one that looked as if you were going to get something mad in the last couple of minutes, it was going to be him. Bukayo Saka.
There was actually there was one chance that it was the chance Odegaard, the shot he had saved by Pickford's legs. Odegaard skinned Mikalenko down that side, and I think he was hoping that Mikalenko would have stuck his foot out for a pen, but it didn't seem to happen. But I do agree. Yeah, he was the only player that kind of wanted to make things happen. Yeah, a tired-looking Arsenal team, I suppose. Man of the match, Ian.
Yeah, I was going to say for a podcast first, we'll give it to Ozzy because he had to sit there through it.
Yeah.
But no, I think you can only give it to Saka, really. Saka or Havertz, but I think Saka because Saka is the only one that kind of really had, I suppose, the most creativity of what we did in I suppose in patches. But I think, look, going into the games that we have going into, like I suppose, like especially with Palace in the Carabao Cup, that's where you switch it up a bit. And when I mean switch it up, okay, we don't have the squad to kind of switch up players, but switch up positions. Like try something different in that, and see what comes into it, and it will kind of spill in. But I suppose I just want to make a point on what Eamon said there. Like, our form isn't as bad as people make out that they make it out to be. He is right in that sense. And also, like, okay, it's quite odd. Like when we've drawn, it's like, oh yeah, we've drawn, but we've actually managed to catch points on teams at the same time as we're drawn. So like, I mean, like if when you look at the full picture of it, as long as you're matching or bettering the people around you, that's the whole point of league football. Is that you're getting there bit by bit. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah, I think you're right, Ian. I think we all need to stay humble, and in the spirit of staying humble, I just want to say I took no joy out of seeing how bitterly disappointed Erling Haaland was yesterday. And seeing the snodger on that Kyle Walker dickhead when he was mugged at the end. It gave me no pleasure whatsoever to see that wonderful, horrible moment. There you go.
It's great to hear Pep Guardiola saying I'm not good enough, but I'm sure he's just a wind-up merchant.
He's gone so mad. He was giving out about the goal that they got. He's
becoming a nurse.
On the bright side, City didn't get 3 points, but they did get an Oscar. Because my God, Walker, what was he doing? Like,
he's got to be embarrassed by that. Roy Keane's reaction was hilarious.
Stop.
I have to say, Ian Gunry's turned into a young Eamon Donnelly. He's really changed. It's amazing what a few months does after this, Ian. If everyone listened to me,
I'll tell you what I will say in relation. I don't know, Ian, if you stop looking on social media, because if I could advise anyone to do anything, listeners, stay with us. Don't go on social media.
I will.
Certain fan TV stations, I'm not going to call them out. I know who they are, but they've all reared their ugly heads. They've made some vile comments, and I generally mean that. I'm not going to go down that route, but it's not good for you. Twitter and stuff like that. Stick on YouTube, listen to Johnny, Eamon, Ian, and myself, and then you won't go far wrong because there's some absolute ridiculous accounts out there that are loving this moment and loving the meltdowns and making money from these meltdowns.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I think the four of us should say, after me, all together, if everybody listened to us, Jonathan, everything will be okay.
And if that doesn't get the views up, I don't know what will. That's your Monday dose for this week. I think we've got a good thing going, as he says. That was some speech he put out there, destroying the opposition.
He has my vote.
Man of the match, Carl Ozzy Osborne, for that. I'd like to thank my guest as always, Carl Ozzy Osborne from the UK. Thanks, pal. Eamon Donnelly, as always, and Ian Gunry. Thanks for coming on. We hope to have you on again soon. As always, catch our show on the Dublin Earth YouTube channel, thanks to Martin Stoneville, and also on Spotify. So until next week, lads, have a great week and enjoy the matches.
Come on, you guys.